What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a really long time since I've actually uploaded anything on YouTube, but today I'm here to talk about two major things. First one, the RB30, guys, is out of Skyla and has a few holes in it. And then secondly, also, what is now in Skyla. If you guys have been following my other social media channels, you would already know that back in August of 2022, we blew a hole in both sides of the RB30. A lot of that I'm still kind of puzzled by. We did everything right. I think there was a combination of things. I think either one, TPS sensor failed during the time in which we were doing a wide open throttle pull and was not telling me until it was too late. Or two, our knock signal was completely dead and it wasn't telling us that we were knocking at all, having pre-detonation, and we blew a hole in it. It was a learning curve, and I still do RBs. For instance, guys, this car here is a friend of mine. It's a 1971 Datsun 240Z, and we did an RB25 swap in it. Just look how pretty that is, guys. Like I said, this is an RB25 that I swapped into here. I tried to keep a lot of the 240Z things that came originally on it in the stock location, like for instance the radiator and the actual kit itself for bolting up a RB25 is completely removable. There was no fabricating. That way, in case the guy wants to go back to an L24, he can, and he doesn't have to stress about re-welding stuff. But anyways, like I said, we have a hyper-tuned big turbo on here. It has a bigger compressor housing and a bigger exhaust housing, but it still remains in the RB25 stock location and uses a stock RB25 downpipe. We have Tomei 555cc injectors on here. We have the outsider garage 370Z coil pack bracket. It's originally for an R35, but I made some modifications to fit a 370Z. That way it's a little cheaper on his expense. But anyways, to the numbers, this thing makes about high 300 horsepower on 14 pounds of boost. And for, you know, a chassis with this engine in it and at 2,300 pounds, I think that's plenty. Oh yeah, like I said, we are still doing stuff with the RBs. However, this year with Skyla, I thought it would be a really good idea to kind of do something different. Everyone has been preaching to me on the other social media accounts, hey, you need to do a new swap. You need to do something completely different. Clearly, this RB30 project, which has happened 3 times, is not working out in your favor. And in all honesty, it's because of the fact that I am still learning about the RB30 and what the do's and don'ts are and how to properly tune it and stuff like that. That 240Z over there, I tuned. Everything's running great. No knock, no freaking pre-detonation, all of that kind of fun jazz. With Skyla having a Frankenstein RB30, you know, we did a RB25 Neo head on top of a 30 bottom end, and then we did a DE, which is a non-turbo head on top of a 30 bottom end. There was a lot of different moving parts that may have not been happy. So I said, you know what, screw it. Let's scrap the RB30 idea. And this is the engine that we went with. That is right, guys. We went with a 2JZ. This is a GE head and GE block with GTE pistons. So it's kind of like a GTE GE situation. Anyways, I did not build this. I had someone who is a really close friend of mine build this. This is all he does is 2J builds. So he built the actual engine. We swapped it into Skyla, and we have a lot of things coming for it. First and foremost, guys, my biggest thing about this build is I want this 2J to look like it belonged in this car. So we are going to be going with a OEM Plus look. I'm not really sure yet whether or not I'm going to keep these valve covers or I'm going to go over to the 2JZ GTE valve covers. But regardless, what I would really like to do is if I take or keep these ones, I want to powder coat those black. I want to have it laser edged right here, Toyota. Like I said, just kind of in that OEM Plus look. Over here, we have a Dodo cast iron exhaust manifold with a Borg Warner SC300 SX3, if I'm saying that correctly. We also have paired up from Skyla the 45mm Turbo Smart wastegate. This exhaust manifold is brand new to the market, guys, and I'm actually extremely satisfied with it. It's relatively cheap. You're running about 500 bucks for it. It comes with a EGT bung, so you can either actually cap this off and not run EGT, but since we're running an EMU black from ECU Masters, we have the option of running an EGT, so might as well. So I also got from ECU Masters their EGT adapter. Like I said, for the actual engine itself, guys, there's GTE pistons and rods in it, King bearings, ARP main studs, ARP head studs. That's about it. We're running all OEM gaskets because Toyota made some really good gaskets. And then for actually bolting this up, there are custom fabbed, which you guys probably can't see that well. But down here, there are some custom fab S13/14 engine mounts for the 2J to go in. Ironically, since the Skyline chassis, the H chassis, or I should say the R chassis, and the S chassis are so similar, it bolted right up with no issues. On the intake side, I'm actually going to be running a either Zero Fab style intake manifold, or I'm going to be running a Spa Turbo cast iron manifold. I'm kind of leaning towards the cast iron just because I don't want to have any cracks. I've had issues in the past on my RBs where the intake manifold actually cracked at the weld just because they were not the greatest welds. So we will probably be running the cast iron intake manifold, and we're going to be running an Outsider Garage who only focus in RBs and SRs drive-by-wire system, because I can hook up a 350Z pedal with their adapter to my car and then run the pigtails to the actual drive-by-wire and then run it straight into the EMU black. If you haven't already noticed, we have a Chase-based power steering reservoir and adapter for the 2J to a Skyline. No, they do not make this for the Skyline. Like I said, they make this for the S13, S14 platform. But since the Skyline platform and S platform are so similar, which some people will freaking croak over that, but it's true, since they're so similar, you can just use that actual adapter and reservoir and it works great. Coming over to the transmission, we are running, which is really hard to see, a JK41 transmission out of a 370Z. It's essentially a CD009. It's just the most updated one. And what's really cool, guys, is that literally the shifter is going to be perfect. I got a Serial 9 shifter, and it's going to sit straight up right here. We're going to put the OEM boot on, and it's going to look like it was factory meant to be there. Like I said, again, the goal is to try to make it look like this 2JZ was meant for this car. It's going to upset a lot of people, but I think this build is going to be so sick. Now, a lot of people are going to ask me, Anthony, what is your power goal? And I've seen a bunch of different videos, and I've kind of done my own investigation. It would be really cool if we could hit 700 horsepower, but if we at least get a 600 horsepower monster out of this, I'll be really happy. We're also going to be running a dual fuel pump in the back from Aeromotive. There are two 340 LHP in-tank pumps, along with Fuel Injector Clinic, the 1440cc injectors. I think that's going to be plenty of fuel to make the 600 to 700 horsepower range that we're aiming for. I would really like to throw it on E85 when I get the opportunity, because I do have the upgraded fuel lines for a -8AN feed and a -6AN return. So most likely we're going to be doing that along with a flex fuel sensor, because the wiring harness that I actually got on a trade, because there was a gentleman that was wanting to trade some of my Skyline parts, my RB parts, for all of this 2J parts. He actually had the wiring harness built with a flex fuel sensor. So that's really sick. Pretty much that harness is ready to rock and roll, and it kind of forces us to go with that EMU black from ECU Masters. That was the ECU pinout, at least that he chose. I would have went with Haltech because I'm very familiar with it, but I'm not going to be the one tuning this. I'm actually going to have Victory Motorsports out of Atlanta tune this car. My buddy Ryan Scott from Pure Function, which I'm sure a lot of you already follow, he was the one that referenced me to them, and I've already been out in connection with them and was like, hey, this is my goal, etc., etc. And we've already got everything scheduled and set up for me to get a bass tune from them and then to get on the dyno. Like I said, OEM plus look. We're kind of going for that sleeper Skyline look. My question to you guys is, do we keep the factory GTST wheels and throw some Mickey Thompsons on them, get them a little stickier? That way we're nice and sleek and, like I said, sleeper status. Or do we do something with the wheels? And if so, please comment down below what wheel choice that you guys would recommend. I had Inky RPF 1s for this, but I actually traded those to get these APR wheels for my Volkswagen Golf, because my Golf severely needed different wheels. I'm extremely excited about this build, guys, and I hope you guys are too. Make sure that you guys like this video, subscribe down below if you haven't already, because my goal is to try to at least upload 2 to 3 YouTube videos a week while building this car. Like I said, I know I've been slacking on it. It's a new year. It's a new time for Skyla. So let me try to document as much as I can for you guys. Other than that, guys, I'll see you in the next video, and have a good day.